Hello students, your instructor here, John Mandela with another screencast. Now, in the last video we talked about, there was this document, so at index page, use file save as to create the philosophy HTML, right? The page inside the website. Because I knew that, the background, graphic and color wanted the same wrapper size, I wanted the logo here, and I wanted, the navigation to be the same. Just the content would change. So what I had done is two things I had done. If I go to design view and live view, you can see here. I actually created, so the wrapper, it's actually called wrapper inner, even though it's the same size and shape as the last one. And then this stuff is housed, if I go out of live view, is housed in a div. It's called content left. Okay, content underscore left is what this div is called. And then over here is a div called content underscore right. Okay. They're both inside of wrapper inner, and the content left is floating to the left, and content right is floating to the right. And I worked on the sizing to make sure that they'll both fit in, side by side with each other. Even though live, without being live view, it doesn't seem like they'll fit, but in live view, they do fit. I tested this in the browser, and they fit just fine. So you notice here, this is very different, for example, than the HTML file for the index page, right? And this one I had, this kind of white overlay is transparent. I had this big bold heading. I had this element right here, an H2 element, and this was a class for a button. Now this one, I have a very different H1, even though it's the same font, it's a very different size. It has this dotted line underneath. The H2 is different, right, in size, shape, color, font, all that. And then this paragraph. So I had no paragraph text before on the home page, and this one does have paragraph text. And even though it's the same, it's mostly the same class for the button, it's slightly different. So I made a slightly different class for the button here. So what I had done is I went into my CSS document. You can see the philosophy, right, is linked to the same CSS documents that the index one is. So I just went in here and I added them in there, and I've already done this, so I'm not going to go through the process of adding these now. You can see before I had, I had text overlay H1 and text overlay H2. Those are for the index page. Well, for this one, I had a content left H1, and it's formatted as such. A content left H2, which is this. And I'm going to skip this for now. Then I had a content left P, which is for paragraph. In other words, the paragraph text, the body text right here, is formatted as such. Here's the content right container in and of itself, that div. And then here's content right image, so how images are going to be when they're in the content right div. All right, and also set up, what is what's an anchor going to look like, and the content left, and things like that. So that was fine for this, right? I had the heading 1, heading 2, and then the body text for that. Well, a services page, which is similar, was mostly fine, right? Heading 1, a content left, heading 1. A content left, heading 2, which is like this. That's the same. Content left P, or paragraph text, or body text, that's the same. But I had this element. This was an H3 element, as you can see here. So the HTML tag is H3. Well, at the point that I had done this, I didn't have an H3, so I went into the main styles2.css. That's where all my CSS is for all of my pages in my site, not just the index page, but all of my pages. So I had to go in and I added a new tag. It's content left space H3. So what's the heading 3 going to be like? And I declared its font family, its color, and its size. Okay, and that's what made it like this. And I didn't have to declare other things because it was just going to take on, attributes of the paragraph text, unless I said otherwise. So that's why it's a color, it's a size, and it's a family. All right. So that was good for this page. Well, what about on another page? The contact page, for example. So here's the contact page opened up real quickly. If I go to live view, I can see that, okay, heading content left, heading 1, not a big deal. Content left, heading 2, not a big deal. Content left, paragraph text, we already have that. Then there was this address thing, okay, which is all of this information. So I had to set up what the address was going to be like as my CSS. I had to set up what strong was going to mean, and I also had to set up, those two things in that